Hi, this is Roland for Online Zero to Hero. Today I just wanted to talk about psychology and how that actually affects how you can break through barriers when you're looking to make money online. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is something called self-limiting beliefs. Now, it's pretty much what it is in the title, really. Um, it's where you think, do you know what, £100 is the most I could make, or £200 per month is all I could make. And what happens is it's a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy that once you reach that level, you hit a plateau and you can't break through it. And, whatever you seem to do, you just can't seem to build the motivation or impetus to go through and to get more. Now, the reason why this happens is, it could be a number of reasons. It could be guilt, or it could be, just disbelief of what you're doing. And I have absolutely had that in the past. When you think about scaling up and, going from where you are at the moment and, building up and, eventually getting to a point where the cash seems a bit unreal. It's there's a number of reasons why it can be driven, but for me it was always guilt. Am I really worth that? And it's that kind of imposter syndrome. Now, my experience isn't from the online world; it's from sort of professional world, working as a contractor and consulting. But I think the same thing applies, and I also have the same thing in Forex, where I doubled my account in like a month or so, and I just stopped doing it because it was just like I feel really guilty and don't quite believe what's happening. So self-limiting beliefs are the most dangerous things when we're sort of approaching any business, in my opinion. So I think as I've learned and as I've grown, the important thing is understanding how we actually overcome self-limiting beliefs. Now, in my opinion, there's probably two ways of doing this. The first one is having a long-term goal. And when I say long-term goal, I mean, how much do you want to be earning per week, per month, per day? Um, and what we really need to be doing is setting a stretch target. And the reason why this works is that simply because if you were going to aim for 100 grand a month, it's not going to happen overnight. Okay, it is definitely going to be a long term plan, but psychologically, you're putting a flagpole in the sand and you're drawing that line to say that's where I'm aiming for. Now, the good thing about these is if you achieve that, hopefully we all do. But if you do achieve that, then that goalpost can be moved because they're all nested. You can have a 10-year goal, you can have a 20-year goal, and break them down into smaller bits. So you've got your 10-year goal, 5-year goal, 1-year goal, etc. Which is the next thing we come on to is that those short-term goals are really quite key as well. So when you're starting out, it's a big deal to make your first sort of sale online, and the feeling you get from that is you do remember it. I mean, it's probably surprise and excitement, etc. Um, but what's really important with those shorter term goals is actually making them smart objectives. Now, I'm a huge, great big believer in smart objectives. So what's smart? Smart objectives is basically an acronym to really quite kind of pin down what you're looking for. So SMART works out as specific goals. They need to be measurable. So when we look at specific goals, it's very targeted. So do you know what? £10 per month. Okay, it's a small goal. You may even do that inside a day, but hey, you can tick that off, and this is the whole point. You can tick these off and say, this is what I'm doing, this is what I've achieved. It is very specific, it's very measurable, which is the M part. Attainable, this is really key. The worst thing is, and we'll probably go back through these just to sort of say what happens if we don't make it these, but R is relevant, so whatever your goal is, it needs to be relevant to what you're trying to achieve. And the last one is time bound, which is for me the most important thing. So what happens if we don't make something specific? So if you have a woolly type of goal, I want to make money, it's not particularly specific to a goal, an achievement that you can do. I mean, you know, one pence is making money, £1 million is making money. It's such a big range there that it's impossible to sort of pin down exactly what you're trying to achieve. Measurable is where you can actually say how far along to that target I am. Now, when you're making money, it's very easy to measure that, because you're either at zero or you're at the goal, or anywhere in between down to the pence. Um, so it's why making £10 per month. Well, do you know what? If you make £5 a month, you're 50% there. It's measurable, and if it's measurable, it's reportable, which is really important too. Attainable. What happens if it isn't attainable? Okay, so if you're just starting out and you say I want to make £1 million per month, well, it's definitely measurable. It's very specific, but is it reasonably attainable? Absolutely not. So what happens if it's not attainable? You're going to give up because, well, guess what? I missed my target this month and next month and the following month for the next 10 years. It's not exactly going to be particularly, you know, motivating for yourself. And this is psychological, where you need to tick these off. Relevant. What's the point in having, I want to run 2 miles? What's it got to do with what you're trying to achieve? I mean, if you've got a content site, however, where you are, talking about running and you're trying to make money from it, whether it's affiliates or ads or whatever, or sponsorship, whatever that may be, it's going to be really relevant to you. But if you're trying to sell a digital course for computing, it's just not relevant. It's a pretty worthless goal in terms of what you're trying to achieve in business, although personally it's a great goal. And then time bound, what's really key is, getting some attainable goals, which is time bound, so this is when I'm going to do it by, so you're working towards something. If you just say I'm going to make £1 million, that's great, but what's the time frame? Because if you don't have that, then, well, most people will probably, well, most people have a shot of earning £1 million if they're on 50 grand a year. It just takes them a long time to do it. The next thing, which I think is really important, is having outcomes. Now, outcomes is not having £1 million in your bank account. It's not an outcome. That's a what I would consider a deliverable. A deliverable is any specific thing. So if it's a goal orientated thing. So if you want to buy a Rolex, if you're in this buy a Rolex, or if you are in it to buy a Ferrari or a house, whatever it may be, what that actually means is that that's a deliverable of what we're trying to achieve. Um, an outcome is derived from those deliverables, and it's something which can't actually be pinned down. So something an outcome would be, that that it's something called amorphous. So it can be changed, and it's not very specific. It's more of an idea. So if you want to work less, that would be an outcome. So you're going to leave your job and you want to work less hours so that you've got more time to spend with your family. That would be the outcome of having more money. Okay, so that deliverable of want to earn 10 grand a month to pay my bills, to have a good time. The outcome of that is that you're going to have more time to spend with your family and not worry about working or the you know all the hours God sends you. It could be even sort of like reducing risk. It's one of my favourite ones in my field of expertise, is reducing risk. Around contracts, etc. Now, for this, it's a case of what everybody's biggest risk is not being able to pay the mortgage, not being able to pay bills, not being able to feed families, not being able to heat your house. Those kind of things. That's what I mean about reducing risk to your way of life. And obviously, if you're flying all over the country, if you've got multiple houses, you've got much less risk of losing a house, whether it be natural disaster, or if you're in Ukraine, God forbid, less chance of losing your house, your actual physical house. So that's the two things. Um, so when we come on to, what skill, what psychology do we need? What skill, psychological skill do we need? I think the one which tops it all is absolutely resilience. Now, when you go into, the online world and start trying to make money on that, it is a hard slog. And I've said in the first video as well, and I'll keep saying it, if you expect to just make tens of £1,000s in a couple of weeks' time, I'm not saying it's impossible. I don't know anybody who would have been able to do that. But that's a lie. If you've got £1 million already, a couple of 10 grand is probably achievable, okay? But for the ordinary person, making any money in the first few months is highly unlikely, and that's what you've got to go into, in the mentality going into this. And bearing in mind that what we're trying to do is break even. That's simply what we want. We just don't want to lose a lot of money. It'd be lovely if we earn some, but that's not the goal here. We're not trying to profit from what we're doing, we're trying to break even. So resilience in this is really, really key, because in those opening few months, the likelihood is you're not going to be earning anywhere near what most of the marketers out there will be promising you, even like £1,000 a day, or, a couple hundred quid a day, or £50 a day. It's just unreasonable. It's just not going to be attainable. And if you think something is really unlikely to happen, then it's probably untrue. So I really want you to take that away and just think, do you know what? If you want to go into business, and if you want to start building up a business online, what you really need to be thinking of is, what is my timescale for success, and what are those success metrics? What do they look like? For me, it's a case of breaking even in the first 6 months and hopefully making a profit after the end of 12 months. But I'll go into more of my specific goals in the next video, I think. Some of this is a case of being able to go your own way, do your own thing, and really, pave your own path. You can't solely rely on just learning what other people have done and replicating it. It's a great strategy, but there is a point where you need to start going out and building something for yourself, because you can't rely on anybody else. The only person who can dictate success or failure is yourself. So once you take on that accountability, that is when you're going to see a lot more success than just trying to copy somebody else and thinking, why doesn't it work? There's a great thing in the forex world, which I've done a lot of trading. In the forex world, anybody can take a good strategy and make it fail. If you're a really, really good trader, you can take a really bad strategy and make it work, because it's about experience, it's about understanding rather than just copying. And it's also why, all these copycat traders, so basically you copy other people's trades, although they may be very successful, half the time you won't make any money, and you're sitting there going, it's a big scam because they can make money, but I'm not. But it's because of the psychology behind it. Absolutely set realistic expectations, goes back to the goal setting, but make it realistic. Have a really good idea. And this is why I'm doing this, because what I'm saying is, the first 6 months, I don't expect to make any money at all. I'm thinking I'm going to sink more money into it than I'm going to be making, but hopefully we'll break even. So yeah, just have a think about when you're really going to see those results. What are your expectations as to when you will see those results? Because if you've got 12 months, then you will be going for 12 months before you're expecting to see anything. If you see anything before then brilliant, happy days. That's the intent. But absolutely, if you think that success is going to become happening immediately, it is basically luck. There's probably going to be an awful lot of hard work in there, don't get me wrong. And obviously, somebody who works 24 hours a day is going to see success before somebody who works 1 hour a day or 1 hour a week. So again, think about how much time you've got to invest in this, and how hard you want to work to get it to be a success, but be realistic at the same time. My penultimate point is just simply don't quit. I said in the first video, if you've seen that, is that I think I probably stopped before I started digging the diamonds out. and I regret that massively. But at the same time, there's been an awful lot of learning in between there as well, personally and professionally development as well. So just bear that in mind as well. It's probably the next pickaxe sort of swing which is going to get diamonds to keep on going. There's a good poker phrase from a poker course that I took, which was the difference between a champion and not a champion is simply the champion stands up one more time. And the point is that if in boxing, for instance, it's not the person who gets knocked down the most, it's about the last man standing. And if you can get up one more time than your opponent, you're going to win. Simple. And my last point is keep learning. Don't ever think that there is a limit to how much you can learn. There is always something else to learn. Some of the tricks, strategy that you can take away, even if it's not even related per se to the skills of online money making, it could be to do with accounting, taxes, etc. There's always something more to learn which can improve your bottom line, because as somebody once told me, it's easy to make money. The difficulty is keeping it, and that's a key point that you have to make, and have in the back of your mind as well. So that's going to close out this video at the moment. Hope you enjoyed it. Click subscribe, sign up to my email letter as well. Would really appreciate it. And as I say, if we can make a little community, that'd be wonderful, and share ideas and go forward in that way. So take care and speak to you again soon.